Hello, listener. My name is Indrid Cold. What were you hoping to hear? A podcast about creatures or the unexplained from two suspiciously qualified individuals? I know you were. I've been watching these two for long enough. Let's listen in as Dave and Austin take you on the tour of the inspirations and theories behind pop culture's most interesting monsters. Welcome to the Cryptid Cast.
And she looked up and she said, when I seen them big red eyes, she said, we were out of there. Can't tell you what the rest of it looks like.
My mama said it was worse than the Frankenstein monster.
Hey, I don't know if this thing is spraying the market's territory or if it's just spraying when it gets mad like a skunk would.
Hello and welcome to the Cryptid Cast. I am your card-carrying cryptozoologist, Dave Chaffins, and joining me is my favorite, son of a Mothman, Austin O'Connor. How you doing, Austin?
I'm doing great. I was expecting like a different name today for some reason. What was it you called me on the Instagram post today?
Oh, yeah. I called you the Clown Prince of Podcasting.
Yeah, I was just waiting on that.
No.
By the way, I appreciate you posting.
Well, so shout out to our social media. If you want to know what we're talking about, you can follow us. It's on Instagram and Twitter, and you can go find that.
Don't follow us.
So
after that, I don't want you to see things like that.
Your stepdad messaged the actual the Cryptidcast account on Instagram with just this innocuous picture of two clowns. One was an old clown and one was a little clown. Mm-hmm. And I was like, "What does this mean, Austin?" He was like, "Oh, that's me when I was a kid."
Yeah. Well, my mom apparently sent it first, and you
Right.
didn't even see that one because we thought she had been hacked.
Right,
but she wasn't.
She'd accidentally sent something else. Yes,
Yeah. She sent like a Facebook recipe link or something.
I was like, Austin, I don't know why your mom's sending me this. I think she might be attacked.
But it was a picture of me as a clown,
Right.
which I'm a clown every day, but I was a clown as a child with the makeup on.
Well, I tried to. I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait to post this until I have something I have to be equally degrading towards myself. And so then
You were Zorro though. That was cool.
I mean, is Zora really? I mean, did you look at that mustache? Did you see how serious I was about that?
You were just into it. I went as Anakin Skywalker one year, and my grandma bought me the costume, and I wore it around Sam's Club 2 weeks before Halloween because I wanted to dress up as Anakin.
Did you did you kill even the younglings?
Spoiler, dude.
Dude,
Spoiler
dude.
alert. But no, I wore the Anakin. I went as Zapdos from Pokemon one year, but except everybody thought I was Big Bird. So that kind of sucked. I was so mad. I was 7 years old, and we got to wear our costumes to school. And I had the full suit with the mask and everything. And I go and somebody was like, "Are you Big Bird?" And everybody kept asking if I was Big Bird. And 7-year-old me was like, "I'm Zapdos. I'm Zapdos. It's from Pokemon." I was furious. And I don't even think I wore it for Halloween after that. It was 2 days before Halloween. I just didn't even wear it.
Because once one kid comes up to you and they're like, "Hey, Big Bird," and you're like, "I'm Zapdos," you're gonna be like, "Ha ha ha."
I think that
Big Bird.
I think that situation spawned my social anxiety. That was the Kickstarter.
What happened?
Yeah, that was the Kickstarter for social anxiety for me because I was like, everyone thinks I'm Big Bird. Oh my god.
Zapdos is one bad Pokemon. I mean, he's
but it was just a very random thing to be for Halloween.
I think it's creative, Zapdos.
I don't know. At the time, I was ahead of my time. I was ahead of my time. But that happened. I'm trying to think what else I was ever for Halloween. I had some weird costumes.
I had I had a relative make sew me together a white Power Ranger costume, and cool. First of all, white Power Ranger is the best Power Ranger because it's just the Green Ranger on steroids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, was it Tommy? Is that his name?
Yeah. Because he used to be the Red Ranger, and then he was the Green Ranger, and then in the movie got to be the White Ranger.
Yeah,
and pretty sweet Ranger, and he had a dragon, or no, he had it was like a Mecha Godzilla kind of situation, but it was made of felt. It was just really, really hot, made of felt, and I didn't have any friends to make fun of me, so in the summer I would just wear that out in the heat and dance in the yard.
Right. As
So,
you do. As one does.
As one does.
Yeah.
I've been to several things. I met my wife at a Halloween dance where I was Indiana Jones and she was Rosie the Riveter.
That's a solid way to meet.
Yeah. It was like Indiana Jones is a great costume in a pinch because it's like, all right, I'm a dude. I probably got like jeans and like a shirt that's kind of ruggedy. All I need's a hat and like some rope, and then I'm Indiana Jones.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing to be. The last thing I dressed up as, I was in college, and it was, or I guess I was out of college. It was before Negan became like a big thing on The Walking Dead, like on the show. And I went and I found a leather jacket and I got some, like pretty skinny, not like skinny jeans, but like the pretty form-fitting jeans, some old boots. I got some like red scarf. And at the time, this was when I was, I didn't have as many bills as I have now. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to buy a Louisville Slugger. And I like got some stuff that looked like barbed wire. Like it went all out.
Oh, so you like went with it.
Yeah. But then there were like, everybody was complimenting me. And then I ran into another Negan at a party. And at first I was a little mad. I was like, he's stealing my shine.
Why are you here?
Yeah. But then the guy gave me a beer and he let me wear one of his gloves because I didn't get the gloves. He had the gloves. I didn't do the gloves. He let me wear one of his gloves and we took a picture together and we were both drinking and we both had our bats. And
were they like fingerless gloves?
No, they were like just normal. They were like leather gloves, but it looked pretty cool. But then we both had one glove on and a bat, and it looked pretty official. It was like two Negans. I feel like in mine though, like he's like got his bat pointed at the camera, all serious, and then there's me with like my bat on my shoulder with like 2 peace signs up, holding a Miller Lite. Like it was more casual Negan. So.
In college, we didn't really. We had this like gigantic Halloween party for the fraternity, and like that was back like it was crazy because back in that day, which apparently this doesn't happen anymore, and I checked with some people. The police were really cool. Where we went to college, and we would fill out a form and be like, hey, we're going to have a party. We're going to have this many people. Here's the list of people that are going to be there.
The party planning committee.
Yeah, the party planning committee. And the police would go, okay, we need to do an inspection beforehand. So at 8 p.m., police would come over. They'd look at it, make sure everything's up to fire code. And they're like, okay, cool. We're going to be back probably around midnight just to make sure everybody's safe. And so, like, we knew that they're not there. Like, we had set it up so that... So here's the situation. How do we throw a drinking party for... frankly underage people that the police don't know about, like the police aren't like aware with? Here's how we do it. I think I've told you this before.
Yeah.
So
tell our listeners.
For our listeners, with these Virginia code law stuff back in the day, now I'm not sure if it's still the case anymore, you would have your hand marked at the door if you were over 21. Like you would have a mark on you that signified that you were 21 and you had to have your ID on you. If you were under, you were marked with something. We signified who was 21 and who was not.
Yeah.
So we would serve beer and mixed drinks for the 21-year-olds and above. And we would place them in the window. And we had a bartender that would place them in this like serving window. If somebody stole one of those, it was their prerogative. That was stealing. And if we caught anybody stealing, then they were in trouble. So any minor that left that party drinking anything was stealing from us.
Yeah.
Those dirty, rotten scoundrels.
It was like oh no, did someone steal that? Oh man, what? Oh, that's crazy.
Right. Yeah. So we would have these...
people are going to... That's college. You're not going to stop people from drinking.
The cops, however, were like... I mean, these are like college campus cops. Like, they're younger. Like, they get it. And so they're like, all right, I meet them outside, and they're like, all right, we're going to walk around the party. Every time we'd have a party, especially Halloween, and you'd bring a cop in, and everybody's having a good time. Everybody's like, oh, yeah. And there's all kinds of, like, they're all, like, kind of red in the cheeks, from drinking a little too much. Yeah. And then
you immediately, you weed them out pretty quick.
And then once the cop walks in, everybody goes, huh?
I always picture the scene from Superbad where Seth Rogen and Bill Hader like bust in the party at the end.
Yes.
And they're just like, he's like, oh, it's the cops. Oh, and like kicks the door through. Yeah. That would totally be me as a cop.
Yeah. So they would come in and they would walk around, and like the people in the fraternity knew this, so they were like, cool, like everybody. But everybody who was a guest of the people were like, we're dead. But I'm gonna call my mom, and like people would like skirt away from, like we had like 10 at that point. 10% of the people that were there had like been like, we're out of here, and the cops just come in and look around, and they're probably like, these kids.
They give themselves away by running. If they would just sit there and be fine,
they were just there.
Cops aren't gonna be like ID. So well, no, it's I think any college, like there's gonna be a similar kind of thing going on.
Right.
It is fun once you turn 21 to watch the younger kids like take off in fear. I don't know.
And then some people didn't have any fear, like the dude that you probably saw this a lot in college. The guy that always like cut a hole in a nightstand and then like put it over his head, and he was like, "I'm a one night stand."
Yeah, that guy's really original. Yeah, there will be many of those this year too.
They just don't care. Yeah,
I don't know. Halloween has always been my favorite holiday. I think, and not even about the dressing up. Just the October leading up to Halloween has always just been I like the just something in the air.
Like, weather update. Weather update. Because, we love to talk about that.
Oh, I didn't bring it up. I didn't say anything today.
You're probably a doppelganger from Martin.
Oh, yeah.
It's been replaced.
It's not hot.
It's not hot anymore.
I have a sweatshirt on and pants.
I'm wearing flannel and jeans. It's like it's white boy uniform
Mother
time.
Nature caught up. Like, we're finally back. We're like, I went and photographed sunrise today at Hawk's Nest, and there was fall color. There were oranges and yellows and reds.
That was a sweet picture. You should go to what's your Instagram?
I changed the Instagram name to match my Twitter name. It's
Oka Photo.
OCO_photo.
That's pretty good.
Shameless plug.
Oka Photo.
Everybody thought my name was Taylor. It was A. Taylor O'Connor, and everybody was like, "Hey, Taylor." I'm like, that's not my name.
Well, if I was D. Taylor Chaffins, like,
I think it's just Taylor Chaffins.
Like, what's up to Taylor?
Yes, but I like Halloween. I love October. I think November is going to be a really good month because I think we're just a couple weeks behind this year, just from the drought and everything. But I think Halloween's my favorite, and I am excited for today because we're going to get spooky.
We're going to get spooky.
But I think we need to do one thing to get spooky.
What do we need to do?
Cue the music. I just wanted to do that.
That's fun.
I just wanted to do it once. Oh, it felt good.
Didn't it?
That's empowering. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
All right, so I just want to intro this, read a little bit of this article, and I want to talk about it.
You sent this to me this week as a breaking news, and I was like, well, there you go, we got it.
Yeah, this freaked me out. So, basically, what am I doing? The name of the article, Not One Drop of Blood, Cattle Mysteriously Mutilated in Oregon. It's great. It's a great Monday morning read.
Oh, yes.
With coffee. In the early morning light, dust from hooves creates a fog at Sylvie's Valley Ranch in the remote eastern... I can't read. Let's start this one more time.
Okay. Let's roll with it.
I feel like you're doing the intro like sometimes.
It's like sometimes it works. Sometimes it all comes out and it's like...
All right.
It's like Jeff Goldblum in The Fly. Kill me!
I hope you part of me hopes that you leave this in, and the other part is like, I hope he cuts this. In the early morning light, dust from hooves creates a fog at Sylvie's Valley Ranch in remote eastern Oregon. Cowboys whistle and talk low to their eager herding dogs. They're moving the cattle from one vast sage-studded ranch to another.
So beautifully
I know,
written.
it's just very eloquently.
Yeah, I'm there.
5 young purebred bulls mysteriously showed up dead on the ranch this past summer, drained of blood and with body parts precisely removed. We see the switch up there.
Oh, yeah.
The ranch's vice president, Colby Marshall, drives his truck down a U.S. Forest Service road. Then we'll get out and take a little walk to where one of the bulls was found, and the carcass is still there, Marshall says. He probably doesn't talk like that in Oregon.
He probably just talks like... wait, do we have accents? That's the question.
Probably a little
100% we do.
Coming upon one of the dead bulls is an eerie scene. The forest is hot and still, apart from a raven's repeating call. The bull looks like a giant, deflated plush toy. It smells. Weirdly, there are no signs of buzzards, coyotes, or other scavengers. His red coat is as shiny as if he were going to the fair, but he's bloodless, and his tongue and genitals have been surgically removed. It's a long article.
Well,
that's really all I need to bring up.
That's
right
really
there.
all you need out of any of it.
So I think clearly here what we have is a chupacabra. There's no denying it, folks. I sound like Alex Jones. There's no denying it, folks. It's a chupacabra. We've got a chupacabra in Oregon. They're trying to tell you it's not.
We're going to need search teams. Yeah. We're going to need spotlights. Yeah. And we're going to need our best chupacabra squad. And if you buy this protein powder, you're going to get all ready for the chupacabra invasion.
Listen. They're putting something in the protein. That's what they're doing. They're putting something in the meat. They're trying to get us to do something. They're trying to brainwash us. It's a chupacabra.
My favorite thing right now, by the way, on TV is the ads that I get for it's like protein powder, and it's always like I don't know who the demographic is they're trying to reach with this because it's like, do you want to feel more manly? And they say it exactly like that. It's like so over the top. Yeah. It's like, increase your sex drive with our special blend of protein powder for the wild man in you.
It's like they started making commercials for the gas station pills or something like that of like that type of thing.
Right.
Like things that I would never want to ingest ever in my life because I would be afraid of what
and it's like there's like kind of like degrading you for even like thinking about watching the commercial, but if you like it will stop degrading you once you buy the special protein powder.
Oh, you're not using our protein? Beta. Not an alpha. Weak.
So
Chupacabras, they are a real problem. I gotta say.
A rampant problem.
That's a rampant problem apparently in Eastern Oregon.
So you'd said that and I was like I was, just with, it's more of a like southwestern and southern thing, chupacabras.
But think about it. Think about this. What you're saying there. It's been real hot.
I mean, it's been real hot.
They're like, you know what? For a year, I think we're going to go up north and
we're just going to hang out. So I was like, I wonder if there's been any chupacabra sightings near us. And I looked online, and in 2017, in Putnam County... They had a chupacabra. Well. Yeah, they had a chupacabra issue where it was eating, it was like sucking blood at a livestock.
Well,
that's what they had claimed to report is that they found livestock that was bloodless.
Yeah.
Well,
in the article though, it did go on to say one person thought it was UFOs, and they were beaming them up, doing like examinations, blah, 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 sucking the blood, and then just like dropping them back out of the sky.
And just be like, we're done. Here you go.
Yeah.
We just rented this.
Sorry for the inconvenience. Right. We mutilated your cow. Here you go. Here it is.
I hope your insurance covers this one.
Yeah. So aliens are kind of dickheads.
Yeah, they need like an insurance agency or something to like cover damages. Like they need
chupacabra insurance, UFO insurance.
Like they need to figure out a way to like even out the scales a little bit because it seems very one-sided for the aliens, and it seems like they're more like parasitic. We need to be like a symbiotic relationship. Yeah. Like, dude, you want some cows? That's great. Can I please get like a laser gun?
Yeah, just trade. We will give you 15 cows for 2 laser guns.
Easy, done.
I think it's a fair trade.
I think it is too.
I don't know. But yeah, so I thought that was kind of creepy. I saw that come up on Twitter, actually, like the story, and I read it, and I was like, okay, this is terrifying.
And it's from NPR. It's not like a...
Yeah. What's crazy is most of the, like, it even said, like, they were trying to search to see if they could find what it was, and everyone searching was, like, quote, strongly advised to bring... like a firearm or some sort of protection.
Or Alex Jones's protein powder.
Yeah. So a little scary. Just fun little story.
Well, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, nice. Like I said, nice Monday morning.
I love hearing about blood sucking and organ missing and mutilated livestock.
Yeah,
That's just, when I wake up in the morning, that's the first thing.
Well, this time of year it really gets you in the holiday spirit, I think.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because of this show, I will say that all of so you know how like the world just like tracks you at everything that you do.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you say I have a headache and your phone records that, it's going to show you ads for Excedrin.
Yeah.
So just because of like doing research for the show, like my phone just shows me really strange things constantly.
Yeah.
Of like, you may enjoy this article, and it's like the creepiest thing, or like, it's like essentially recommending conspiracies to me, and I'm like, I've got enough of those. I'm good for right now. Check back later when it's all dry at the well. But with that, let's hear a word from our sponsors.
In a world where solid-state electronics and vacuum tubes are still meta, people never stopped loving atomic-powered everything. A chosen 500 stepped inside a subterranean vault to be spared the nuclear horror of the inevitable Great War. 25 years later, they emerge after the fallout settles to retake Appalachia. Among them, two former rivals whose blood feud will tear West Virginia apart in their epic struggle for survival. Chad, a vault bro who has a strength of 15, an intelligence of 2, and is a complete wasteland dickhead. Simon, a complicated anti-hero who chooses light and hope, but accidentally becomes a cannibal and wakes up naked and afraid with a Scorch Beast queen after a date goes terribly wrong. What? I mean, it's a wild wasteland, right? This dark humor radio drama will have you driving off the road and crawling out from under the fallout. 2 men, 1 wasteland, and so many nukes. Chad, a Fallout 76 podcast, rated R, now streaming on your holotape player podcasty thing.
All right, go ahead.
So last year on Halloween, we did
The Halloween Spooktacular.
Yeah, it was pretty spooky.
Yeah. Was that a good voice for that?
I give it like an 8 out of 10. 8.3 out of 10.
The Halloween Spooktacular.
That was too much. That was like a 7. The first one was like an 8.3.
Right. I put a little Christopher Walken in
You did
that
like,
one.
spook. Like, you just got to do like a Halloween spooktacular.
The Halloween Spooktacular.
What is that one? That was good. I'll give you that one.
That was good, yeah.
Why is it that like every Halloween voice is like Transylvanian? Like it's spooktacular.
Hello, my name is Count Chocula, and I am looking for a Fruity Pebbles knockoff.
All right, listen. So we tried to scare each other last year with ghost stories.
Right, in the Halloween Spooktacular.
I told one of mine. That was like
one of your personal ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
But,
freaky. I'm freaked out.
But then I told a few other ones. So this year, I don't really have many personal ones, but I found a couple short ones that
you like.
Kind of spook me.
I would like for you to like somewhat, like a snack spook, a spooky snack.
Yeah, a spooky snack. So I'm just going to read the story as it is. I found some different people that had posted their own stories.
All right.
So I'm just going to read how they wrote it, okay?
Credit to the where it's due.
Here we go.
All right.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. And my mom was calling me. Let's decline that.
Let's decline that call from Mom.
Back to it. Here we
Mom,
go.
I'm doing a podcast right now. Call me back later.
Yeah. All right.
There's a lot of voices today.
All right. When my sister Betsy and I were kids, our family lived for a while in a charming old farmhouse. We loved exploring its dusty corners and climbing the apple tree in the backyard. But our favorite thing was the ghost in the house. We called her Mother because she seemed so kind and nurturing. Some mornings, Betsy and I would wake up, and on each of our nightstands, we'd find a cup that hadn't been there the night before. Mother had left them there, worried that we would get thirsty during the night.
Mother.
She just wanted to take care of us. Among the home's original furnishings was an antique wooden chair, which we kept against the back wall of the living room. Whenever we were preoccupied watching TV or playing a game, Mother would inch the chair forward across the room toward us. Sometimes she'd manage to move it all the way to the center of the room. We always felt sad putting it back against the wall. Mother just wanted to be closer to us. Years later, long after we'd moved out, I found an old newspaper article about the farmhouse's original occupant, a widow. She'd murdered her 2 children by giving them each a cup of poisoned milk before bed. She then hung herself. The article included a photo of the farmhouse's living room with a woman's body hanging from a beam. Beneath her, knocked over, was that old wooden chair placed exactly in the center of the room. That one just freaked me out.
That was, well, like, first of all, calling the ghost Mother.
That had everything. That had everything you want.
The
right
moment
there.
you started with that, it's like, nah, sister. This ain't right.
Yeah. That one had, it's got something for everyone. That story really gives you the tools to be your own boss, I think.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. All right.
I would agree.
Are you like a little spooked out? Is that a little spooky?
It's
Okay.
like,
That one resonated with me.
I'm like aperitif. Give me another.
Okay.
You
You want
got
another
another?
little spook?
I do.
Okay. This is just another one here. Last night, a friend rushed me out of the house to try to catch an opening act at a local bar's music night. After a few drinks, I realized my phone was not in my pocket. I checked the table where we were sitting. I checked the bar. I checked the bathrooms. I checked everywhere. And after no luck, I used my friend's phone to call mine. After 2 rings, someone answered, gave out a low, raspy giggle, and hung up. They didn't answer again. I called 6 or 7 times and eventually gave up and considered my phone a lost cause. Someone had taken it home from the bar. I found my phone laying on my nightstand right where I left it. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
That was just another little spooky one.
Ooh,
I want to hear.
ooh,
I want to hear yours. I want to hear yours.
Okay.
I think I actually might have one more later, but I
right.
want to hear some of yours.
All
now.
right. So I have a longer one that I've kind of parts from an article and added my own little special kind of flair to
Yeah,
it.
a little flair.
So I'm a student of geography, like you know.
Yes, I'm aware of this.
But before anything else,
yes,
geographer at heart.
yes,
Obviously, like there's cryptozoology.
Yes.
That's over the corner. But have you ever noticed that, like, and I'm just talking about like West Virginia, for example.
yeah,
A lot of these like instances we've talked about have like occurred in the same area, and it's like everything occurs in the same area, and you're like, why does it all occur in the same area?
Yeah.
Like, why is Flatwoods Monster right near the Mothman, right near the Sheep Squatch, right near all the Bigfoot sightings in this like area? Like, it's kind of freaky. Like,
is a little freaky.
There's not like. It seems like wherever there's one weird thing, there's like 20 weird things. Wherever there's one haunting, it's like people see all kind like
it's a hot spot.
it's like a hot spot. Yeah. So I got kind of like curious about this, I suppose.
Yeah.
And a few weeks ago, there was this a listener who his name was Mustang. He was on Discord. Asked me to look up Skinwalker Ranch. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes.
You've heard of Skinwalker Ranch?
Terrifying.
Okay. I'm about to tell you some about Skinwalker Ranch. In case you
please
didn't know.
don't, but please do.
Yes. So, Skinwalker Ranch is a 480-acre sprawling ranch that's just 3.5 miles away from Fort Duchesne. I butchered that.
How do you spell it?
Duchesne. Duchesne.
Okay. Yeah.
Try that. Is that good?
I'll give it to you.
That's the scary part. That's in Utah. According to Native American legend, one side of the ranch is directly on, quote, the Skinwalker's path.
Why is it on the skin? Why? Why would you do that?
Knowing this legend, the Ute tribe, which it's Ute, or it's Ute or Ute. I'm going to just say Ute.
Ute?
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 Like, I'm a Canadian. I need to be Ute here.
Like Ute.
Ute. Is that how you say it?
I think. I don't
Okay.
know. Is it
Ute.
just UTE?
Yeah.
I think it's Ute.
Ute. Okay. Knowing this legend, the Ute tribe.
I could totally be wrong, so I'm sorry if I'm wrong. Someone correct us if I'm wrong.
Knowing this legend, the Ute tribe was long forbidden to go anywhere near the property itself. So what is a skinwalker on this skinwalker path? Well, the Navajo people say that a skinwalker is a shape-shifting witch with bad intentions. In the Ute take this threat very seriously. Before the Ute tribe was relocated to the reservation in Utah, they were a very warlike and fierce tribe that inhabited Colorado, Utah, and New Mexico. The Navajo and Ute fought against their common enemies at one point. This all changed when the Spanish gifted the Ute tribe horses, and the Ute began to kidnap the Navajo people and sell them into slavery in New Mexico. The Ute believed the presence of skinwalkers in the Uintah Basin. I guess that's like kind of like Utah, but it's Uintah. The Uintah Basin goes back at least 15 generations. That's 15 generations of people that have seen these skinwalkers. However, they don't believe the skinwalkers live on the ranch itself. Instead, they believe that the skinwalkers live close to the ranch in a place called Dark Canyon. The Ute people have reported seeing skinwalkers numerous times. They've reported them around the ranch, on various parts of the reservation, and on the road to the fort. I just lost all of my pages. Back to it.
So you're freaking me out because, like, ghosts don't scare me that much because it's just a ghost. But now you're talking about stuff that's like, I'm going to kill you, like, in shapeshift and murder more people while I look like something totally different.
Yeah, where it's like,
I
look like something familiar.
I'm
but
not a fan of that.
Well, it gets worse. The descriptions of skinwalkers vary from a humanoid dog with a head that smokes a cigarette to a large black humanoid figure that is covered in hair and is very fast. Most reports agree that the skinwalkers have very large and red glowing eyes. Why does everybody have red glowing eyes? Why does every single cryptid have red glowing eyes? I'm not sure. Some claim to have taken pictures of the skinwalker tracks, which are extremely large, which I thought was interesting. The ranch itself was homesteaded in 1905 by the Myers family. It consisted of a few small buildings situated in the northwest corner of the property, right at the foot of Skinwalker Ranch. They later abandoned the original homestead in favor of a new one on the ranch's eastern side of the property. So I thought it was interesting that they moved. Like, these people are moving. It's like, what was on that side of the ranch? Was that near the Dark Canyon?
I think it was.
The 1930s saw the homestead occupied by Kenneth and Edith Myers. They lived on the property until 1987. During this time, the Myers didn't report any activity. However, their neighbors reported activity. But other events started in the Uintah Basin in the 1950s. This was the period where reports of UFOs began to spread. This wasn't new for the area, though, because the Spanish explorers reported objects in the sky as early as the 1700s. So Spanish explorers were seeing UFOs, or something that they couldn't explain in the sky. Back then, they didn't have the airplanes. You know?
So it's
they
like,
just had,
what is it?
Yeah.
They don't have, like, you can't.
The Wright brothers and the Zeppelins weren't flying around back for the conquistadors. There were hundreds of UFO reports that included large aircraft ranging between 20 to 30 feet across to strange fireballs in cigar, oval, and round shapes. Some had red beams emitting from them, and others surrounded by a greenish light. By the time the 1970s came around, the Utah Highway Patrol stopped responding to UFO reports due to the sheer volume of them. The 1970s also brought the beginnings of the cattle mutilations. The Myers family left the Skinwalker Ranch in the 1980s and sat vacant until Terry and Gwen Sherman bought it in early 1994. They moved in and brought their livestock and children with them. Now, here's where it gets crazy.
It's already pretty creepy, so I don't know if I want to know what you're about to say.
When they moved in, though, they found that the Myers had put deadbolt locks on every door and window in the home, including the inside ones. To make it more interesting, some doors and windows had deadbolts on both inside and out. The kitchen cabinets also featured deadbolts. They were in large iron stakes with heavy chains at the ends of both the home. The kitchen cabinets also featured deadbolts, and there were large iron stakes with heavy chains at both ends of the home. The family assumed that these stakes and chains were previously used to contain guard dogs, but there were too many of them to be sure. So
that's pretty scary.
Why you got all these deadbolts in here? Kenneth and Edith, what you putting in here? Why do you have these?
I don't like that at all.
The same day the Shermans moved into Skinwalker Ranch, they saw a large wolf or coyote in one of their pastures. It made a line for the cattle pen, and it grabbed a young calf by the nose before trying to drag it away. Terry Sherman, along with his father, tried to make the animal let the calf go by beating it, but they were not successful. In desperation, Terry pointed his .356 Magnum at the animal and shot it in point-blank range. However, it still wouldn't release the calf. He shot the animal again, and it finally let go of the calf, but it didn't run off. Instead, it stood and looked at him before calmly walking away. There were no signs of injury or blood, and they followed the animal just for a shy mile before the tracks simply vanished. This event foreshadowed what was to come. The next 2 years brought numerous reports of strange animals around Skinwalker Ranch, both from the Shermans themselves and from their neighbors. These reports detailed everything from multicolored birds that are tall and dark, also hairy creatures that resembled the classic Sasquatch. The Shermans also claimed to see a very big animal that resembled a hyena attacking a horse. They said that this animal was heavily muscled, low to the ground, and weighed around 200 pounds. It had a bushy tail and a curly red coat. As they approached it, it vanished. The horse had claw marks all over its legs. Random pastures would light up for no reason. Items would disappear, reappear at a later time. Poltergeist activity picked up particularly, and there were reports of disembodied voices speaking an odd language. There were numerous crop circles all around the ranch as well. In May 1996, one final event was the last straw. Terry Sherman was outside with his dogs when he noticed a small orb in a field very close to the house, and he urged his 3 dogs to go after it. When I read this, I was like, why did you urge your 3 dogs to go after the orb? That doesn't seem like a kind thing to do.
No.
The dogs took off in the thick brush following this orb. Terry Sherman heard all 3 dogs let out a horrific yelp before everything went quiet. The dogs didn't come back. All Terry found in the morning was 3 greasy lumps with scorched earth beneath them.
That is not. That's really not chill.
It's not.
I don't like that.
The Sherman family didn't originally plan to sell Skinwalker Ranch. However, a millionaire business tycoon named Robert Bigelow offered to purchase the property. Mr. Bigelow is a firm believer in UFOlogy and the founding member of the National Institute for the Discovery of Science. He purchased the Skinwalker Ranch for $200,000 and had the Sherman family sign a non-disclosure agreement saying they would cease talking about their experiences. He established a high-tech compound with PhD-level field investigations, cutting-edge equipment, a security detail, and scientists. The ranch was under guard 24 hours a day. The underlying purpose of this research was to get in more depth studies about paranormal topics like cattle mutilations and UFOs, as well as other various fringe sciences. However, the National Institute of Discovery had very little success and was officially disbanded in 2004. The Bigelow Aerospace Advanced Space Studies, which you got to put space twice in there or else it's no longer that official, quickly replaced the disbanded foundation. Now here's the thing. This organization was apparently working towards a government sponsorship. And it was much more secretive. The Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program was a secret investigation effort funded in 2007 to study UFOs by the United States Department of Defense. It focused its majority of efforts on Skinwalker Ranch. For the next few years, the United States Department of Defense spent $22 million on this project. Louis Elizondo was the military intelligence official from which the Pentagon, who had tasked him with running this operation. The shadowy and secret program locked in funding largely due to Robert Bigelow's friend, Nevada Democrat Harry Reid, who back then was the leader of the Senate and the federal government. This information was secret until 2017, when the New York Times released it. When they broke the story on this program, the Department of Defense confirmed the program's existence, and Harry Reid even admitted to being an accomplice to it. However, even though the Department of Defense confirmed the program's existence, it never fully acknowledged it. It did admit that the program shut down in 2012, which is strange. In that same year, the Bigelow Aerospace Advanced Space Studies lost the Department of Defense's funding because the Advanced Aviation Threat Identifications Program contract wasn't renewed and it expired when that article came out. Skinwalker Ranch sold for an estimated $4.5 million to Adamantium Holdings in 2016. At this time, Bigelow's company pulled their security teams, but the new owners quickly replaced them, leading to more questions as to who exactly Adamantium Holdings really is. So this all happened in a concentrated piece of land in northern Utah. So why do all these crazy things happen in such concentrated areas, obscured by vast swaths of nature that are unknowingly and eventually tracked by the government? Last year in West Virginia's northern panhandle, 4 campers were staying in cabins out in the great West Virginia wilderness. They heard a howl in the night, and as they looked out their window, they saw a face with glowing red eyes that looked directly at them. The creature stood up, towering over their vehicles, and inhumanly sprinted away, almost like a dog. Navajo bestial witches, phantom dogs, skinwalkers, wendigos, we all have names for these common things that we can't really understand or comprehend. Over the years, we've noticed cryptids closer to our cities and towns, but I don't think they're coming after us. I think maybe we're in places we shouldn't be, cities where there shouldn't be. So when you're driving down the road and you see maybe a shadow out of your corner of the eye in the fog, that doesn't really make any sense. Or maybe you're watching TV on a dark fall night when you see a shape outside the window that really shouldn't be there, and it races out of your perception. Remember that these creatures and beings probably aren't invading you. You're invading them unknowingly.
Like, white people always, like, we stay in haunted places way too long. Like, way longer than we should. I don't. I'll say that. If I let's say I move into a house and it's super haunted, I'm not living in that house.
So who said that?
I'm pretty sure it was Eddie Murphy.
Well, Eddie Murphy starred in the movie Haunted House.
Yeah.
You know, the Disney classic. So he's one to talk.
I'm still with him that white people stay in haunted houses way longer than they need to, and they stay around weird stuff way longer than they need to.
Yep.
I love that stuff, but I'm not living there. I'm not going to stay there. I'm not doing it.
I don't know if like what's the point, you know? If it's really
I'm not
like I had one of my mother's friends when I was a kid would say, "Oh, you know, we just had this house and we knew the ghost, and I mean, it would shut the screen door every so often, and it would close a cabinet or open a cabinet or something like that, and we just kind of knew that it was there and it was fine." And I'm like, "Wait, what? No, things are not fine."
Yeah. You ever think, like, what if ghosts aren't really ghosts, but, like, it's just tears into parallel universes?
See, that's my thinking. So you talked about before in last year's episode about an energy portal within a room in your dad's old house. Mm-hmm. Now, this is interesting because that's like a point. Mm-hmm. In the story, it's a line. It's a literal line. It's like, okay, a point is scary enough.
Yeah.
But a freaking line, like a paranormal highway where things happen.
I think the universe is weird. Mm-hmm. There's just so much stuff we can't understand or explain. And I could just, like, the ghost could literally be parallel universe you just going about their day. And something leaks through, like a door closes.
Yeah.
That's you in a parallel universe closing that door, and it just happens to leak through and the door closes. Yeah. Or like a sound. You're hearing things from the other. Like Bluefield High School, fairly certain that it's, if we're going to say it's haunted, I think. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's just, I think there's a lot of energy from a gazillion different sources, and it's got to go somewhere. And
things are like, for example, we went to a tea party, and I think I've told you this before, but I haven't told it on this podcast.
I don't think you have, because I've never heard of you going to a tea party.
So
but I am, and you had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
So we were invited to this tea party, and
as one is.
It was like, so my mother is an organ player, and she's a fairly, if she's going to say she's not a good organ player, but she's like the best organ player.
She's very talented.
She's the best organ player in Bluefield.
Yes, she's very talented.
Take it at that. You know, she's not like playing.
That's still good. I mean, you're still, she's very, very good.
If I'm the best guitar player in Charleston, then it's pretty good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You smell them 7 in?
Yeah.
So we get invited.
For sure, dude.
We get invited to this tea party because she used to give lessons at this house, and she was like, "Oh, it's a cool house." And so this is in Bluefield, and I know that this house is still there. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, it's up on the hill in this like very like well-known neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Down there is off of Bland Street, which is
it on Oakhurst?
I'm not sure. You drive all the way up, and it's like in this little hill, and you kind of like circle around the hill until you get to the top. And it's like this Addams family looking house.
A hill house. I know exactly what you're talking about. I've been there.
Have you been inside?
Yes.
So we go inside.
The guy's name, is it Fusionberger?
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. We might bleep that out on the...
Well, it's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been there because he always had the foreign exchange students for Bluefield, and I was really good friends with one of them, so I used to give him a ride home all the time, so I have been there.
So we come into this house. First of all, it's like has the weird like black gate around it. Yeah. And they have this little driveway that goes all the way around it. Yeah. And they're driving a Model T car. Yeah. Around the house. Very eccentric guy.
Nice, but
we walk in and my mother's like, first of all, it's like, imagine like you walk into the Addams family house. That's what it looks like. It's kind of like Luigi's Mansion. Yeah. Like it's like, it is what you're picturing.
Yeah. And it literally is, you have to drive up kind of this mountain. It's up there by itself, up this gravel road, up a mountain.
You can't see anything. It's like it's always been, and before I knew like where it was, like it's in a very like common neighborhood, but it is literally hidden from sight.
Yeah. You go up and it very much is what you would picture in a horror movie.
Right.
Like it is this like I'm shocked that no one has ever come in to film a horror movie there. Like would be the perfect place.
Oh, it'd be perfect. Yes. So we come in, we start having tea, we see some people, and we see our family doctor is there, and he's there with the son. He's like, "Oh, how are you doing?" And it's like, "Oh," he's talking to my dad. He was like, "Oh, this house is a little crazy, right?" He's like, "Yeah." All of a sudden, we hear, we're like, what? It's like, what is going on? And my mom's like, "Oh yeah, the organ." We were like, "What?" Because yeah, I learned on this organ when I was, as a kid. I would, play here at the house, and they have like a full organ. Yeah. In this house. Yeah. You can hear throughout the house whenever somebody plays, like a haunted mansion. Mm-hmm. And so they're like, okay, well, we'll take you on the tour of the house and show you some different stuff. And we got to show you the Widow's Peak. Mm-hmm. I was like, what's that? He was like, oh, it's the top of the house where it's like the widows. That's what they would jump off of when they would be widowed. Mm-hmm. I was like, what? He was like, yeah, that's what they call it that. And so he was like, okay, let's go and look at that. We go up there. We go up to this guy's attic. He's got coffins up there.
What?
He's got coffins up there. And we were like, what?
Coffins in the attic.
Yeah, in the attic. We were like, what is going on? And we climbed up this ladder, and we didn't stand. Like, it was like not good for a lot of people to be out here on this like top of the house because it was, old house or what have you. So we like peeked and looked, and we were like, oh, that's interesting. And we got back down, and the family doctor was like, how is it? And we were like, yeah, it's crazy. Mm-hmm. It's wild. And so he went up, and he was going on tour. And he came back down, and we were like, what'd you think? And he went, ba-da-da-dum. We were like, yep.
It's
like white people love it.
It's a thing.
This like macabre kind of like.
My buddy Felix, he was from Germany, lived there.
I met him.
Felix Carols?
Yeah, he I think he lived there. Yeah.
When were you there?
This was when I was I had to be like 14 or 15.
Okay, Felix was there when we were 16.
Okay.
There was there was Max, who was there when we were that age.
Okay.
He had dark hair.
Okay. I can't remember.
And then Felix and Leo, who was from France, both lived there at the same time with another guy named Ike, I believe, who was from Germany. They had 3 foreign exchange, and he was in college, but he was living there. But
Maybe I met the German guy.
Yeah, he was a little bit older.
Yeah,
he was probably like 20, I think. But Felix was there. Felix was my buddy, still my buddy. Lives in Germany now again, but lived up there, and I think they loved it up there though. From everything I could tell, it was like very like cool house. It was a little creepy. We would if all of us had gone out to like get dinner or something, like driving him back up there at night. It's like kind of weird because especially like if it's raining,
right?
Going up through the dark up this hill to this man, yeah, it was crazy.
It's the perfect house to throw like a little like tea party or something in,
or a Halloween party,
Halloween party, yeah. Because it's like you know when you buy something as a conversation piece, it's like the whole house is just a conversation piece.
It's like the house that you at the beginning of like a Clue type movie where like everyone gathers for a party and then one person gets murdered and it's like a.
There are books that I remember seeing in that house that I went to go look up later and thought about for several years and I could never find.
Listen, that guy has a very eclectic collection. Real nice guy.
Oh yeah, they were
very,
wonderful.
Very eccentric, very like, as the older I've gotten, the more I've like grown to really appreciate people that are like that because they're just more interesting.
Right.
I just could not live up there.
Right.
I would be scared all the time.
Right.
Especially imagine that's probably why he did the foreign exchange stuff. He wanted people there with him.
I need some people up here.
Yeah, but he also is a generous person. So, but that's a creepy place. That's for sure. I thought my house in Bluefield was haunted once. My buddy Nick was over, and we kept hearing these weird noises downstairs. And I would hear weird thing. Like I one time heard like what sounded like something dragging through the hallway one night when I was trying to go to sleep. And I kept thinking, I was like, I've lived here my whole life and nothing's ever happened. And my great grandparents built the house, so it's not like my family had lived in this house since it was built.
Right.
And I heard something downstairs, and Nick was there. It was the middle of the day, but the lights were off, and we creeped down the steps, and we're like, all right, we're gonna figure this out. And we creep down the steps, and we get down there, and he's behind me, and we're super close together, just creeping. And we take the corner at the bottom of the steps, and we took 3 steps, and we're just taking the slowest steps imaginable. And then we just hear this psh, and we sprinted up the steps. We were gone. We got up to the top and fell down, getting up through the hallway. We were like, oh my God, what was that? It was one of those Airwick automatic timer.
Oh,
and it sprays the stuff. That's what terrified us that bad because we were so on edge about what was this. So that was the ghost of my house was an Airwick sprayer. That was
So I've seen a ghost before. I don't think I've ever actually.
You did tell me.
Did I tell you on the podcast?
I think you told me in last year's Halloween episode, but I think you should tell it again.
Well, so my experience with seeing a ghost was in the summer when I was living in Blacksburg. It was a college town, and so in the summer, college towns tend to be a lot less crowded, and everybody's kind of coming and going, and even the students that stay and work are kind of in and out because they're still trying to visit their families, and so it was a weekend that I was just at the apartment, just by myself, and I had stuff to do, I had my job, and I had I visited with my now wife.
My
wife visited with her, but I was just sitting there alone watching a movie, and nobody else is in the apartment. And I see out of the corner of my eye, there's the layout of apartments. It's the classic layout where you walk in the door and there's the living room. Behind that is the little alcove with the kitchen. And then at the end of the hall, there's a bathroom and 2 bedrooms. You know what I'm talking about? It's a very classic layout. So when you're sitting on the couch and you're facing the kitchen, you can see down the hallway. I saw somebody walk from the bathroom to the other living room, and it all like it was a person in a black outfit that walked from one room to the other, and I was like, okay,
So there's that.
no one is in here. I know none of my roommates are here. They're all gone for the weekend.
Yeah.
It is just me here.
How long had you lived there?
I hadn't lived there but 2 months.
Okay.
Probably at that point.
Yeah. And that happens.
And that happened, and then I went and looked at it, and I was like,
You like went in the room.
I went in the room because I was like,
white people.
There's something, and there was nothing.
White people, I tell you what.
Right. So months later, it was like I was a little spooked out by the apartment, and then I told you the story about I heard gunshots one night when I was out of my apartment. I was like, "What is all that?" And I hear pop, pow, 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 pow. I'm like,
inside the apartment.
inside the apartment. I hear them outside.
Like, I thought you meant like it was
no. Like I hear them outside the apartment. I'm like,
that was someone getting murdered.
well, I hear them, and I call the police, and I was like, "Hey, like, I'm at this address. I'm hearing gunshots. Like, this is, I'm just reporting it." They were like, "Okay, we'll get back to you." And I was like, "Okay." Well, and I kept on hearing them, and the police called me back, and they were like, "Hey, so I just want to tell you that it's Diwali. It's the Indian cultural holiday, and they set off fireworks." I was like,
okay.
"Oh, okay."
Gotcha.
But then the weirdest thing happened later on because the apartment complex directly across from us, like, burned down. And it is, I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen, like, anything burned down live.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's pretty
Like,
wild.
we were near it, and, like, we were like, what is that? And they were like, is that on fire? And then we walked down on our balcony. And when we walked down our balcony, it was like the heat was there.
Yeah, you could feel it from a ways away.
Yeah, I had a buddy that lived in that apartment complex at the time. You remember Travis, and he showed up and he had turtles. And he had pet turtles, and so I was like, oh my gosh, is he okay? And I heard a knock at the door, and he shows up and he's got a Tupperware filled with water with turtles, and he's like, I got to go to a hotel. A hotel's not going to let me have this. So can you have these turtles? And I was like, yeah, sure.
Did he get his stuff out, or was it all just?
He got some of his stuff out. Most of it
sucks.
Most of it's gone, but
Renter's insurance, hopefully.
I think he did. I think he did, actually. He didn't really have that much. Like, he just,
Speaking of apartments and living, and like you were there for a little bit and saw that, I did come across this story earlier.
I'm ready to hear it.
That kind of was similar. It's not terrifying, but it's kind of creepy. It goes along with what you said.
With the apartment
this
situation.
person said, so I used to live in this apartment, or I guess it was a house. Okay, so I used to live at this house. The houses were built to house people building the railway in Derby, I guess, in the 1800s. I'm assuming that's the city he was in. He said, I only found this out after I left the house, thankfully. It's a pretty old house. It was a creepy house, really foreboding, and every time I washed my hair in the shower, whenever I would open my eyes, I always expected something to be there. I've had that feeling a few times in like hotels and weird places. You feel like something's watching you.
So, real quick, side note. Can you look in a mirror in the dark? Are you able to do that? Like, if the light's out, look in the mirror?
Yeah.
Or like, okay, I'm just curious. Continue.
Don't put these thoughts in my head.
Okay.
I'm spooking myself out right now.
Okay. Well, every time you in this podcast, I'll tell you that every time that you've like solo said something, it's reverberated off all the instruments, and so there's like this little like, after every time you talk. So go ahead.
Wait, what?
Yeah, there's like it's being reverbed off of the instruments that are in this room.
Always?
In this particular podcast, yes.
Just today?
Just today.
Why are you telling me this?
I'm just telling you.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Dave, what are you talking? No, I'm being dead serious. Like, why are you saying this?
It's just reverberating on the
I know,
instruments.
but why did it not do it another day? What is going on? I don't like this.
Did you not hear it?
I hear it now. What
Did you not
Stop.
hear it?
No. What does that mean?
It didn't do it that time.
Okay.
But it's been doing it here.
But what are you getting at?
I don't know.
What are you getting at?
I don't know.
Tell me what you're getting at,
I'm
Dave.
not getting. I'm making an observation. It's observational comedy.
It did it to you that time.
It did it to me. We're gonna need to get the like a recorder out, like a one of those like like dudes and bros things, and record this for the podcast.
Ghost Adventures.
That's not feasible. We're not going to do that. Well, with that, we have a community submission from one of our listeners. That was not scripted. It was just fun to do. We're going to talk about Melon Heads that was submitted by Soybean. So, in the American folklore of Michigan, Ohio, North Carolina, and Connecticut, melon heads are beings generally described as small humanoids with bulbous heads who occasionally emerge from hiding places and attack people. Several variations of the melon head legend can be found throughout southwest Connecticut, especially in central and eastern Fairfield County and western New Haven County, Connecticut. In eastern Fairfield County, many tales can be found in communities such as Thurmbull, Shelton, Stratford, Monroe, Easton, and Weston. In the western and central New Haven County, tales can be found in towns like Seymour, Oxford, Milford, and Southbury. There are several primary Connecticut variations. According to one variation of myth, Fairfield County was the location of an asylum for the criminally insane, which burned down in the fall of 1960, resulting in the death of all of the staff and most of the patients with 10 to 20 inmates unaccounted for. Supposedly having survived an escape to the woods, the legend states that the melon heads' appearance is the result of having them resorted to cannibalism in order to survive the harsh winters of the region, and due to inbreeding, which in turn caused them to develop hydrocephalus. I think I'm doing that right. Some retellings of this version substitute the asylum or prison with places of business or campgrounds, and the inmates' patients with employees, staff, or campgoers. Individual variations will modify what town these individuals were originally from and where they end up. According to the second variation, the Melonheads are descendants of colonial-era family from Shelton, Thurmbull, who were banished after accusations of witchcraft were made against them, causing them to retreat to the woods. As with the first version of this legend, the variation attributes appearance of the Melonheads to inbreeding. Melonheads allegedly prey upon humans who wander into their territory. Like the first version, individual retellings will modify what town the family was originally from and where they would go.
Okay, this has been a disaster for a minute.
It's been an entire disaster.
You've
missed so much. So let's go back to the beginning. Let's start from the beginning. This is a Halloween episode.
Yes.
And so
you were freaking me out, and you were telling me, "Oh, there's a reverb from your voice, and it's only
right.
you."
You would probably listen to this, and we told you the story about the Melonheads, which we're going to talk about here in a second. But before we get to that, we went back to look at the recording and noticed that Austin's voice had just disappeared. And like there was no change in anything. We didn't see anything that was like going on, and so we looked at where it was, and it was right after we talked about the strange like instruments making sounds, and we got really freaked out for like a good 30 seconds. We were
it was like, okay, well, your voice when you were talking about the reverb just disappeared on the mic.
Right. And so we had our own like personal Halloween story happen to us until we realized that
my mic was unplugged.
Right. So
very anticlimactic. Then I guess it like it kind of plugged back in on its own. I probably
at
adjusted
some point,
it.
yeah.
And then you read the Melonhead story, and I apparently accidentally unplugged it again. So now we're going to talk about the Melonheads.
Yes.
And how twice now, because then just now we went to say it again, and we weren't actually recording, and we talked about
because,
it.
Because, once there's one problem,
yes,
there are a million problems.
But Melonheads, creepy, very creepy.
And the instruments are still doing that reverb when we talk.
I don't like it at all. I talked about how I was a cone head when I was born because I was in the birth canal too long. There was a very elaborate story that you just had to be there for it because apparently you literally did because you're not going to hear it now.
Well, I mean, I think they got the gist of it. I think that you were a cone head when you were born.
Yeah. And then we talked about
Roanoke Island.
And how literally everyone back then, if you did anything out of the ordinary, you were a witch.
Yes.
and how if you're
this
sick,
is like a good like last week on Dragon Ball Z segment.
If you're sick, oh well, they're a witch. But if you miraculously get over that sickness, oh well, you're a witch, and you were stoned and burned to death. We got through that. This is like a good solid rundown. Unfortunately, just because I'm not going to want to say every single thing we said.
Right, because why would we fake a conversation?
Yeah, exactly.
Which this is like, this is a lot similar to at the end of Pick a Destiny, where they're like, this is not the greatest song in the world. This is a tribute.
This is just a tribute,
which is a great and fantastic movie, which I showed my wife my wife showed her just a year or two ago, and she has been like, "Why haven't I seen this sooner?"
It was a great movie
because it's a fantastic,
great movie.
Like it's like the perfect level of like crass humor for her.
Yeah,
that she enjoys. One of her favorite movies is Talladega Nights, which how can it not be?
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Wasn't Dave Grohl the devil?
Dave Grohl played the devil.
That's the best.
That's good.
Yeah. But it's this. We gave you a rundown of what we talked about.
Now you're caught up.
And we talked about social media.
So I have more thoughts about this. Like, isn't there like, I think it was interesting in the particular article because it mentioned the different towns, like having different stories for different things. So do you remember, like back in high school, and maybe you were part of this, maybe you weren't, the whole like idea behind Odd, West Virginia?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what was your take on that?
That there were blue people was one of the rumors, that they were blue.
Okay, what did they do?
That if you drove down their road, they would like attack you, is what we would always hear. Or chase you out of their neighborhood.
So we heard that it was, from my perspective, it was like a family of, it was 2 insane asylum escapees that made this like family, and they had mutated, and they would try to kidnap people like for years, but then the kids started bothering them, and so now they just like throw cans at you from their porch.
I know people that have been to Odd and encountered the family there, and it was not pleasant. I will say that.
What was their history? What was their account?
It was that they drove down, and when they were in high school and they were being disrespectful, and they honked their horns while they passed
because you're a 16-year-old and that's what you do. According
to this person, the people came outside with the gun on their way back through, because there was only one way back out. It was a holler. You could only go back out one way. Yeah. And they stopped them with their gun and made them apologize to them.
Yeah,
before they would leave.
That's like, you hear different stories throughout the towns, and it just ends up that you're just this D-bag that's out there honking your horn in the middle of like a neighborhood of people that want to be just left alone.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. They just wanted to be left alone. But it is funny how even within like a 5 mile radius, not even that, like a 3 mile radius.
Yeah, that like everybody has a different version of the story, and like how, the Melon Heads could have been campers, or they could have been escaped from the insane asylum. It's like
they're just guessing at that point.
I think people love like spinning a yarn, and it's hard to get all those details right. That's the thing. That's how you know if it's real, is if everybody's got the details right.
Mm-hmm. Spinning the yarn.
Spinning the
Great
old
way to put it.
Some would say cracking the melon, It's got very violent.
You know what? I'll let you have that one.
That's a good one. All right. Well, as always, you can follow us on social media, on Twitter and on Instagram and on Facebook at _CryptidCast. You can find us there. You can see our tweets of old Halloween costumes, various photos. We have a picture with the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and we were out at the Mothman Festival, and my wife was like, "Oh, guys, you're going to do an episode on that." My wife, you're going to do an episode on that. And so we went out, and we tried to get a picture, and Austin's like, "I don't want to take a picture."
I took a selfie with him.
Well, you just like took one selfie, and you didn't include me.
Yeah, because it's all about me, dude.
And then it was like, let's get a picture. And you were like, I don't want to take a picture.
I'm selfish.
Well, we got a picture, and that's on the Instagram. Yeah. And you can also join our Discord. Links for all this are on our website, which is a thing at thecryptidcast.net. which is the link in the description. You can go there. You can join our Discord, where we're talking about all kinds of fun things, like how weird the Ronald McDonald mascot was back in the 50s, and how he just sat in a dark room watching children's commercials and trying to serve burgers and weird stuff. And he looked like the end boss of a BioShock level. That's what I thought, at least.
I agree.
And you can also catch up on the goings-on about Martin. That is the official, the unofficial group that gets together and talks about that.
Yeah.
All on our Discord. But I think that's it for this week. So, Austin, why don't you lead us out here?
From holler to highway, we've got you covered 6 ways to Sunday.
This podcast was hosted by Dave Chathins and Austin O'Connor. Find them on Twitter at CryptidCastDave and OCO_photo. Music produced by Dave Chathins. Artwork by James Addison. Links to our social media and merch are down in the description below.
You've been listening to a Robots Radio podcast. Smart shows for interesting people. Check out all the shows at robotsradio.net.
Hello.
Hi.
Do you like bad movies?
Do you find yourself defending bad movies, saying things like, well, the soundtrack was okay, or the costumes were pretty fun?
From the previous hosts of It's Not That Bad podcast, we bring you Fresh Tomatoes, the movie podcast, from Simone LaRue and Chad Ekovitz.
Every week, we review 2 movies that did not do well critically, but we say, hey, there are some nice things about them. Maybe Rotten Tomatoes was wrong.
Maybe they're all fools, and you should watch these movies regardless. We'll also talk about scenes that could have saved it, and we'll often refer to Simone's cats because they're amazing and adorable, and we love them.
And at the end of each review, we will tell you whether we would watch this movie again, or in what circumstances we would recommend you watch this movie.
So, join us on July 9th for the first drop of our main episode, and then 2 days later for our drop of our minisodes.
And on Robots Radio Podcast Network. Come see us on July 9th. We love you so much already. Bye.
Bye.